Good morning, Southern California, AM 1220 KHTS. Host your Fred Arnold on the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. I want to talk about daily inspiration and where I get my daily inspiration when it comes to living an abundant life. I recently had gone to New Zealand, and when I returned from New Zealand, landed about 10:30 in the morning, and I caught a cab to go get my car. And when I was driving in the cab, I created a conversation with a gentleman that looked like he was probably 50 years old. And I asked him what his name was. His name was Victor. And I said, Victor, where are you from? He goes, well, I'm from Armenia. I'm from the Soviet Union. And I go, wow. I said, when did you come here? He said, 17 years ago. Oh, that's great. Tell me more. Well, I have 3 children. One of them actually is in law school at Boston, and university in Boston. And my other 2 kids are studying to go to university. And my wife's here, and we absolutely love America. I go, and he says, I'm a citizen. He said that very proudly. I go, wow, that's great. Tell me about what it was like growing up in the Soviet Union. He goes, well, it's very similar to anywhere else as a kid because you don't know any better. You play soccer, and you have cold winters, and you don't know any difference, right? And I said, what did you do before you came here? He goes, well, I went to university for 3 years, and then I went for 2 years to law school because that's what you needed to do in the Soviet Union. So, and I'm thinking, this gentleman's well-educated. What did you do? He goes, I was a judge. I'm like, wow, you're a judge? He goes, yeah. I was a judge for about 10 years. And the crash of the Soviet Union, when it crashed and everything changed, he goes, I wanted a better life for my family, and I brought him here. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, for 17 years, he's been driving a cab in LA so his children can have a better tomorrow. Never had any arrogance about being a judge in the Soviet Union and the lifestyle that created for him back in the time. But he was so proud to be here. And I share that as an example of, are we grateful every day we're here? Are we grateful for the opportunities we have? I find first family immigrants, first-time immigrants that come to our country and see the riches it has and see the opportunities. When I say riches, I'm seeing riches in information, riches in freedom of speech, religion, freedom of education, the riches it has, the opportunities it has, and how they take advantage of it in a very positive, great way, and they show that example to their children. And it was such an inspiration for me to not complain about the small things in life that really don't matter, where this gentleman, really Victor, made the most of coming here into this country and really explained to his children the value of an education and the value of the freedoms we have. And it reminds me of on my way to Europe to see my son was studying in Europe, and it was great to see him. And I don't watch too many movies, but I saw The Bridge of Spies. And Bridge of Spies was filmed during the Cold War. And it was about Soviet Union and America spying on each other. And James Donovan was Tom Hanks. He was the lawyer. He was the insurance lawyer. And he was asked to represent a gentleman by the name of Rudolph Abel. That was his real name. It was played by Mark Rylance. I hope I'm getting that name right, Rylance. But Rudolph Abel was a spy for the Soviets in America. And Tom Hanks, and he got arrested for spying, and they needed to try him in the American courts. And when they were trying him in the American courts, they appointed Tom Hanks, who happened to be James Donovan, as his lawyer. And he goes, how am I going to defend him? They didn't want a high-powered person. They wanted someone that maybe was a lawyer, well-mannered, but they had to make sure they convicted him. People wanted this gentleman convicted, no matter what. He's a spy. It's the Cold War. We got to show everything we have. And it's a true story. And as what happened was, at one point, Tom Hanks was talking to, or James Donovan was talking to Rudolph Abel and said, you could get the death penalty for this. You could be sentenced to death. And Rudolph Abel goes, yeah, I know. And he said, well, aren't you worried? And Rudolph Abel said something that was so profound. He said, if I worry, will it make a difference in the outcome? Now you think about that. If I worry, will it make a difference in the outcome? And I was like, wow. How often do we worry about things? And it's really not going to make any difference on the outcome of what the situation is. In fact, a friend told me one time that was so wise. He said 90% of the time, the negative stuff we think about or we concern ourselves with never even materializes or exists. So why worry about it? Why concern yourself with it? You could be aware of it, no doubt. You can be aware of it, but why worry about that? Later on in the movie, again, it was a long flight to London, and later on in the movie, James Donovan, which was Tom Hanks, the lawyer, asked Rudolph Abel. And as what happened in the movie and what happened in real life was Francis Gary Powers got shot down by U-2 and was captured by the Russians. And now what they were going to do is negotiate an exchange of prisoners. We were going to exchange Francis Gary Powers along with Rudolph Abel, and this exchange was going to happen. And both countries wanted their men back as soon as possible because they didn't want any more torturing to happen to get secrets out of each man. So this was really important to both the Soviets and the Americans. And during the exchange, right before the exchange happened on a bridge, Tom Hanks said to Rudolph Abel, he said, well, do you know what your life's going to be like in Russia? You might get killed because they might see the secrets you gave us or didn't give us, and they don't know, and they might, you might no longer be alive. And he goes, yeah, I know. He goes, that's a risk I take by leaving. And Tom Hanks said again, well, does that concern you? Does that worry you? And he said, if I worried, would it make a difference? And I'm like, wow. There's a man that knew perspective, Rudolph Abel. There's a man that realized that if he worried about a situation, was it going to make a difference in the outcome? So I challenge you every day when you have something you're worried about, no matter what the worry is, by worrying, will it make a difference? Or are there other things, other ways that you can look at a situation in order to have the life you want to have, in order to have the existence you want to have, in order to be the person you want to be? Well, I hope you enjoyed this information. I wanted to share it with you because it was so profound on me. And this show's Fred Arnold. Again, if you want to go to the website, Sales Excellence, Life Abundance, go to fredarnold.live, fredarnold.live. You're listening to Fred Arnold on AM 1220 KHTS.